And if you could talk just a little bit about what you know about the program would be great.
Mhm.
So let's begin with the mission and vision statement of the Salvation Army as a whole.
Right. So the international mission statement for the Salvation Army is that it's the Salvation Army is an international movement. It's an evangelical part of the Universal Christian Church. Its message is based on the Bible. Its ministry is motivated by the love of God. Its mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs in His name without discrimination. And that's always been the force behind what the Salvation Army does, especially that part of without discrimination, because we try to serve everybody and everyone that we possibly can to the best of our ability.
Yeah, when I growing up, I was like I mentioned before, I was heavily involved with the Salvation Army as a corps cadet, and I went to your band camps and everything. And I know that in addition to providing the spiritual side of helping people out spiritually, you guys look at the whole person, kind of like the nursing modality. In nursing, we differ from medicine, because medicine, they look at pathophysiology, they look at the disease, and they look at the body, how it affects the body. Whereas in nursing, we look at the whole person to see how their environment, the psychosocial factors, impact that person, for good or for bad. And then we try to find ways to enhance, healing using the person, because we cannot take the person out of the environment.
Right.
So in addition to the spiritual aspect of the Salvation Army, you guys provide a lot of services. Like, for example, name a couple of things that you guys do at the Salvation Army. I know there's like job training, there's...
Yep. So every Salvation Army is a little bit different in the services that it offers. Here, our main services is our food box program, and for a while we were doing the PG&E, which is the
heat program.
Yeah.
It's
It's actually called Reach.
Reach.
So Reach and LaHeap are the two assistances for utilities.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we were doing that. And then we don't have the manpower, unfortunately, here to be able to do case management and things like that. But we're hoping that with the right funding, we'll be able to move in that direction, because that's kind of our goal, is to be able to help people kind of out of their current situation.
Yes.
We've had a couple of people that we've been able to help and kind of guide through, but since there's only the two of us and no case matter, we have actually no employees at this point.
Here in Clovis.
Here in Clovis, yeah.
In Fresno, they have a lot more other programs that they can provide, as well as they have a women's shelter. They have other things that they have as well. So
you guys have the Salvation Army,
Clovis.
The Salvation Army as a whole, as a international movement. They have a lot of different services, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
There's I was always told, with our model, doing the most good.
Right.
That the reason why it says doing the most good isn't a bragging factor of doing good. It's more of, if there's another organization out there that does as much or more as the Salvation Army, we'll take that model away. And so I was always told that that's the reason why the Big Way International chose that as their motto. The Salvation Army provided just so much services as a whole.
Yeah. In Fresno, they do. They have the Adult Rehabilitation Center has both men and women in Fresno, and we also have the Gable Crest, which is a transitional housing. And then we also have Silvercrest, which is a senior living, and that's all in Fresno County area. So we do quite a bit. And then worldwide, they have
with the family services, but also it's not just the family services. We also provide youth programs with our church, church ministry, and everything that goes along in our church ministry. There's a plethora of programs with that too.
And one thing that my mom is involved in is going to the assisted living facilities with you guys, like once a month, I believe, or maybe twice a month.
Third and fifth Sundays.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So she enjoys that. She comes here sometimes.
Oh, she
I'm
loves
gonna
that.
just, take a little break real fast, get something to eat, and then she joins you guys back over there. But how did this all start? Who is Catherine and William Booth?
There are founders. They're the ones that kind of started this movement. It started as a Christian mission in 1865, and when the tabloids came out as it becoming, well, it said, the Christian mission is a volunteer army. William Booth kind of was like, we're
All
more
or
than that.
nothing.
We're a Salvation Army. We're here to save souls, and so he crossed out volunteer army, and in 1878 it became the Salvation Army.
In 1878, and this was started in where?
1865 is when
Oh,
the
sorry, 1865, in where was it
London,
started?
England.
London, England. Sorry.
In London, England.
Yeah.
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 East end of London,
East-
England.
Oh wow. Okay, that's great. So tell me a little bit more about the organizational leadership of the Salvation Army. I see you guys wear these I forget what are they called?
The
Epaulets.
epaulets, yes.
Epaulets. Yes, epaulets. So what do they mean? And tell me a little bit more about the organization
Well,
leadership.
our founders really love the military structure, and so our leadership is kind of structured on that, where we have one general in charge of the whole international army in the whole world, and then from the general it becomes international commanders from different parts of the world. So there's always and then you got your national level, and our national headquarters is in Alexandria, Virginia. And then so just to break down United States, we have 4 territories. So from our national uh, territory, we go down to our territorial part. And so
From our
Yeah,
national
so
headquarters.
the headquarters, yeah. So then we have 4 territories in the United States, which is the Western Territory, the Southern Territory, the Eastern Territory, and the Central Territory.
Okay.
We're part of the Western Territory, which goes to Colorado, to Montana, all the way down to New Mexico, and then so yeah, we're part of this Western Territory, which then it goes into different divisions. And currently, our divisions in the Western Territory, we have
9.
9 divisions, and so from those 9 divisions, so we have a divisional headquarters that we report to. Then we have
That's
We-
DHQ. That's
So we're the
DHQ.
Golden
Yeah,
State
yeah.
Division.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're part of the Golden State Division, which
Right.
goes from San Francisco all the way down to Bishop and
Ridgecrest.
area.
Was it
So-
called Del Oro or something? Or
Oh,
was
no,
that
we're
Del
Golden
Oro is
State.
northern, yeah. Del Oro's goes from Oakland all the way to the top of California.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
when you get to Oregon and southern Idaho, that's the Cascade Division. But that's a different division.
Captain Jennifer, I had a question for you. So I know that, like I said, you guys have a worldwide population that you guys deal with, but let's contextualize it specifically to Clovis, California, right? What's the population like demographics that you guys usually serve?
Okay, so we serve, we actually only serve the Clovis area. And we serve, honestly, anybody that falls into the federal poverty guidelines. We serve all of them. And so people will come in and there's an application that we normally would have them fill out, but during COVID-19, we're not doing that.
Right.
But so normally they would have an application to fill out, and there's documentations that they need to bring in. Photo ID for everyone 18 years and over, birth certificates for everyone 17 and under, proof of income for the household. What was it? Proof of income. Oh, proof of address, which would be a utility bill. And then, yeah, so once they get processed and we know that they qualify, then we go ahead and set them up in our system. And then they can come once every 2 weeks. No, once every 2 months for a regular food box, which has milk and eggs and other dairy and meats, frozen meats, canned goods, all of that stuff. And then once a week, they can come in and get bread and pastries, fruits and vegetables as we have them available from our pickups.
Nice. So, Captain Kalani, can you tell me something about the funding? We talked about funding earlier, just we mentioned it a little bit. Captain Jennifer, you did, but Captain Kalani, could you tell me about how these services are funded?
All of our services are donor based. We everything that we get from our donors, we use it toward everything we do in our ministry. We do we do a donation pickup. So we have a connection with the food bank where they allow us to go and pick up food at different stores. And so I spend the majority of my day going out to different stores and picking up food. And with this food, we apply it to our food boxes and hand them out. But everything financially, it comes through the donor relations.
Mhm.
And is there a certain time of the year where you guys get more donations than others?
At Christmas time, we do our biggest fundraiser, which is a Red Kettle season. And we call it the Red Kettle campaign. We go and we have connections with store managers. We actually have relationships on a national level as well, where the stores allow us to nationally, and we go there and yeah, all permission. And we ring a bell outside in the cold with the pot. And the idea behind that how that started was they were doing a feeding program a long time ago, and as they were doing soup, there was just such a long line of people who needed food, and as the pot was going low, they put a sign out there that said "Keep the pot boiling," and so when the pot was empty, people started putting money in this pot, in another pot, and they used that money to buy more soup to fill up the soup pot. And then they started serving more of that soup pot, and that's how the whole Red Kettle campaign started. And so
Wow.
that tends to be our biggest fundraiser of the year, which usually supports us throughout the year. But it's not always what covers everything. So we do sub fundraisers as well. A lot of it is through donations, though, like especially with our food.
Yes.
We do canned food drives with schools. We do a big one here in Clovis with the post office. And we partner with the Fresno Salvation Army too, and we do canned food drives at the Fresno Fair and many other just food drives that we do that really help us in our giving, for the food.
Yeah. About 75% of our income, though, does come from our white mail appeal, and that's people mailing in checks.
Oh, wow, that's great. And Captain, let me just apologize. I looked down at my notes briefly and I realized I called you Jennifer. And is Jenny,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yeah,
right?
Jenny. Yep,
Happens
no
all the
problem.
time.
I'm so sorry.
I don't even, it didn't bother me at all.
Happens all the
Yeah.
time. Don't
I
worry.
have notes right here and I glanced really, I'm like, wait, it doesn't say Jennifer, it says Jenny. So I do apologize about that. So,
No problem.
okay, so I do have a question for you, Captain Jenny. So, are there any problems the Salvation Army has faced in recent years, and what have you guys, if there are any, what have you guys done to resolve it, or the organization, not you guys specifically, but the organization as a whole?
Yep, I think a lot of, and it's been happening maybe for about 20 years or so, or maybe even more than that. But I think a misconception of some of our stances and some of the things that we believe and the things that we do as a Salvation Army. I think some of those things are misunderstood because we are a Christian-based organization. People will think that that we take a stand in a specific way, which it's not necessarily that way. And so really just educating people and letting know really what we're about and um, how we serve the community. So although we are a Christian organization, we service everybody, no, without discrimination, like our mission statement says. You know, they don't have to go to church. They don't have to be a Christian. They don't have to even agree or believe what we believe. We will serve anybody that needs help, that qualify for the services for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As a matter of fact, when I was looking at the the website of the Salvation Army, like the general one, it says here that you guys have, you serve a lot of communities. You guys also serve the LGBTQ community. It says on there the homeless shelters. You guys have drug and alcohol problems, solution to human trafficking. So you guys really do not discriminate anyone, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. We really try. We really stick to our mission statement, and media has got involved and blew a lot of, especially in the LGBT community, they blew a lot of things out of proportion, and it's not really the message that we put out. Our message is just to meet the need and
or not just necessarily them. It's really just, media, and it's everything. Things get lost in translation. So
yeah. I hear you. So when I was growing up, I remember being at the Corps, and a white van would come with a lot of men and women, but separately. And suddenly the Corps would get packed of so many people, and I asked my mom, who are these people? And they're like, oh, they come from the rehab center or from the rehab center. So I know that there's a rehab center here in Fresno. And what's your relationship with the rehab center? Do you guys partnership with them? What do you guys do?
We actually, when we first got here, we used to do a Bible study with them. I remember doing a couple when I first got here, but they have their own service as well. They're kind of their own branch as well. Like we're the core branch, and then they're the rehab program branch. But they still do their programs. Their focus is on the addictions and where we actually focus on a lot of the ministerial. Well, they do ministry as well, but our food boxes and things like that. They actually are always welcome to any Salvation Army Corps as well. The lieutenants are they're the officers at the rehab program right now. They actually started attending our Corps a little while back, and then so they've been bringing along their men and women from the program. There is a restriction. There's a kind of rules that they have to follow on their side. Some aren't able. They have to stay at the program if they haven't met their 30 days yet. Or there's like steps within that program. So like Jennie mentioned earlier, we're not too familiar with everything that's structured there, but they come to our Corps, and they usually send about 2 vans full, like what you mentioned. Buses, yeah, 25 passenger buses, just with all these men and another bus women, and they just come.
So we usually get on a Sunday before COVID, the virus happened. We had about 30 to 40 men and women that would come from the ARC every Sunday and join us for worship service.
Not just that too, they helped us with bell ringing during the holidays. They've had some projects that they work on, so they've helped us with some projects that we needed to be done. And there's always a relationship with the Corps and the rehab program, so it's not a division anywhere. We're one army.
Right. Well, you know what? Let me share this with you guys, because recently I was conversing with one of my buddies, and I'm not sure how we got on the topic, but we're talking about being fathers, and anyways, it came down where he told me, he says, you know what? Yeah, my father. He was saying that his father and him, they didn't have a really good relationship because his father was into drugs. And eventually he went to the Salvation Army rehab program. And after that, he recovered, and he's doing well now. And this was back when he was a kid. And so it's just, I guess, a testimonial, you can call it, of how this rehab program impacts and enhances, not only the person, but the community at large. Not only the person, but the person's family, and it goes out to the community, their job. So that's great. So have you guys heard of any success stories? I'm sure you guys have.
I've heard a lot of success stories, especially with the rehab program. it is an effective program. It really works. If the men go there and they, or even women, they go there and they really stick to the program and they take it serious. I know of a case in Portland, Oregon, when we were assistants there. There was a man who graduated from the program 4 years before we got there. He lost his wife. He hasn't spoken to his daughter, and currently, right now, that relationship with the wife and daughter is it's now
Restored.
restored.
Yeah.
Though he remarried another woman, but at least as the relationship with the wife, they're on good terms now, and he sees his daughter often. It's just been a great thing. Even the daughter was a part of his wedding. He just got remarried like a couple of years ago, actually, and yeah, his daughter was a part of the wedding, and the ex-wife was there, and it was just a really great thing for him. But I've heard a lot of stories, even in San Jose, where some men that we worked with over in at San Jose in the administration area, they've graduated from the program and they got back on their feet and they're working and they're making, they were homeless, they're living in their cars, they got kicked out of their houses, and I mean, things just looked up because we were able to care for them at the feeding shelter program they had over there, and then he was able to get back on his feet. But the rehab program really took the first turn in his life where he really had to look at his addictions. And right now, that man he has a nice house and he's really working really well.
So it's true. A healthy person makes for a healthy family, and a healthy family makes for a healthy community, and it just extends out to the whole universe, which is a great thing. Captain Jennie, I had a question for you. So can you please summarize again the services that you guys provide currently, and where do you guys see yourself, let's say post-COVID status? Where do you guys envision yourself? What areas do you guys want to reach? And then let us know how people can access the Salvation Army here in Clovis. And with that, we'll close.
Yep, no problem. So anybody can access our services just by simply walking in on Tuesday to Thursday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And we let them know what documentations they need to bring in. And then we get them signed up. They're in the system, and we just give them the food as they come in and as they need it. We just have it available for them. So it's a fairly simple process. Just some of just the paperwork and everything, and then they're set. We do renew the paperwork every January, and we are paperless, so everything goes into the system, into the computer. The only paper that we keep on file is their actual application, because on the back has the affidavit that shows their declared income and things like that. Because we do check the income, but as far as the expenses and things like that go, we don't necessarily check that. So it's the affidavit that they sign on the back, which we need their actual physical signature on. So yeah. All right, yeah, and then let me see here, the other part of the question. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. So where do you guys see, so just summarize again the services that you guys provide now, currently, and the services that you plan to provide post-COVID.
Yeah, so the services we provide now is mainly just the food boxes. And then in the future, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, we're not too sure, but we're hoping and looking toward accessing different funding to be able to do more case management work and to be able to help people more specifically to their needs. That might be something far down the road, but that is, besides just food boxes and energy assistance, that's something that we really want to move towards.
Great. And Captain Kalani, can you tell us the address here in Clovis, where you guys are located at?
We're located here at 210 Barstow Avenue. That's in Clovis, California.
All right.
The zip code? Yeah, the zip code.
93612. I live right around the corner.
Yes. I do want to kind of, when you're on how the Salvation Army is happening, or even during this COVID-19 thing, I kind of wanted to bring up this quote by William Booth.
Okay.
An infamous "I'll fight" quote. You probably heard it before, but I had to pull it up on my phone. It says, "While women weep as they do now, I'll fight. While children go hungry as they do now, I'll fight. While men go to prison in and out as they do now, I'll fight. While there is a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I'll fight till the very end." And with that infamous quote, I mean that a lot of officers and soldiers of the Salvation Army, they ride this quote. They fight. Even during a pandemic like this, we find ways how we can adapt to the situation, and we still will meet the need. Wherever there's a need, we will fight, and that's our drive.
That's a great quote, and I do remember hearing that quote growing up, and I think it's awesome. So I want to thank you guys so much. This meeting is going to be presented to my cohort. Because of COVID, we were displaced. Also, we were at the Fresno Behavioral Health Center here in town, but then we had to, leave and do everything online. So this is part of my final presentation. So it's for educational purposes. And again, I'm so happy that the Salvation Army is available, not only for assistance in, the material things, but also the spiritual things that people may find lacking in their life. And again, just to segue it back to mental health, you guys, the Salvation Army as a whole believe in helping those who have alcohol and substance abuse. And like I mentioned before, it is a pathophysiological pathway in the brain that creates this, that conditions the person to seek that reward system. I mean, if someone's going to give me chocolate every day, I'm going to go get the chocolate, you know what I mean? Or, something that you like. So it's good to know that you guys, the agency is there to interrupt that pathways and create healthy pathways. And by doing so, have that individual come back to the community as wholesome. So, and one thing that I like is how you guys focus on the whole individual, just like nursing. We focus on the whole person, not only the physical needs, but also spiritual, psychosocial, in all those areas. And not only that, but the Salvation Army was started by Catherine and William Booth, right? And in England, and so was nursing, modern day nursing, by Florence Nightingale, who was also from England. So it comes full circle.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are extremely busy with kids and, just working. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, signing off. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.